Like I've been saying, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave could be the best Fire Emblem game of all time and one of the best strategy RPGs of all time, if not the best one, because the scope and scale of this game is unlike anything that we've seen before, and a quality for Fire Emblem that we've quite honestly never seen before. And just for the genre itself, strategy RPGs aren't a huge major thing. You don't see a lot of them, especially in the high fantasy type. When it comes to major or triple A, you see a lot of smaller ones, but what we're seeing and what we're hearing from Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave and the previews from multiple big outlets like IGN, VGC, MyNintendoNews, and Eurogamer shows that this game is shaping up to be a behemoth, one of the most ambitious games ever when it comes to Fire Emblem, and very much could be the next great game on the system. So we're gonna break down everything with the previews, no spoilers of course, what's good, what's not so good, what this game could do, and the potential, let's just say, reviews and what's happening with it, because now the tone has shifted quite a bit because they are very positive on this game. So there is a lot to get into. But before we continue, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2 at 140,000 subscribers or on September 1st, whichever comes first. Subscribe, like, comment. The winner will be chosen at random, and it's a worldwide giveaway. Thanks, peeps. One of the headlines from Eurogamer, just to give you guys a snippet of what we're gonna talk about, says, 20 hours in, I cannot believe the scale, complexity, and ambition of Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. And yes, that's from Western outlet Eurogamer. So definitely a good start. But I was able to comprise a lot of different opinions and a lot of different write-ups, and I went over everything. And these are pretty much the big bullet points about what makes Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave so good. So according to many different outlets, they say this is one of the biggest, most ambitious games on the Nintendo Switch 2 period. Not just the most ambitious Fire Emblem or one of the biggest Fire Emblems, but just games on the Switch 2 overall, and definitely from the first party perspective as well. There are tons of activities to do, a huge world map, different tasks, side quests, which the Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave Direct showed that off. But once you actually play yourself and people are able to play and not just see it from there, you get a little bit of a different perspective on just the sheer amount of what to do. But is it convenient? Is it fun? Is it intuitive? These are all the things that they're saying about that. There's a lot of stuff to do, but you don't have to do them. You can automate some things. You can go straight through and just beeline it for the end of the game and just play. Heck, you can not even recruit the past characters. You can just go and fight when it comes to like the final boss, or one of the final bosses, it seems like, to get past there, but you're probably going to get smoked, but you can do it. So there's a lot of substance within the content. It's not just a lot of content for the sake of having a lot of content. That all has purpose with everything that you do in there to enhance, to solidify, to gain new allies, to do different things. So I'm loving how they're talking about the activities and how intuitive and great that they are within the scope of each character's progress. Now, there are plenty of recruitable characters, which is great. I love recruitable characters. That's one of the best things about Fire Emblem, is putting together your squad, getting certain characters that you want, finding the best characters, breaking the game in some ways when it comes to finding really good characters with the best equipment or different weapons to give yourself the best opportunity to win and to really fight off or fend off those enemies that just come at you. So I love that. One of the best games on Switch 2 already. That's something that was said in one of the previews. It's already, from their 10, 20 plus hours of playing, it's already one of the best games that they've played on the system. So definitely a good thing. There's some great games on the platform. It's very ambitious with this scope and size. This is something that was echoed across many different previews. It's ambitious. It's a huge game. There's a lot of scope and size to it. It's definitely a real evolution of what they did with Fire Emblem Three Houses. Now, here's the thing. Each character has their own unique story and can be switched at any time. In Fire Emblem Three Houses, they had their stories, but you played through a lot of repeat content when it comes to Byleth and encountering them. So this time, each character feels like it has that unique and fleshed out story built specifically for it to be played. Not just to be saying, okay, I'm going to go with this character and that's what I'm going to do and that's my choice. That's kind of how Three Houses was. This is not that. They know, or they encourage you to play through all of the characters. So it's essentially Fire Emblem Four Houses, but also done right, to be played with all the characters, to experience everything each character offers. So I love that setup significantly more than what they've done in the past with splitting up into different games, Fire Emblem Birthright and Conquest, or having these three paths and making it to where there's a lot of repeat content before you get into the unique stuff with each individual path. So definitely better there. The class encounters in dungeons, this was awesome because they said that it speeds things up from traditional turn-based combat. You pick what you want to do, then it all executes it. So it's a very different take on Fire Emblem, because Fire Emblem's always been strategy RPG. You have the little overhead view, you kind of go and pick your units, you move on the map, but now you have these dungeons, and there's a lot of dungeons, and all of those dungeons have enemies in there, and they play out in turn-based battles. So that's a very big and new thing, and apparently it's fun. All of the previews said that it's pretty cool to go into those dungeons, get loot, fight in a different way. It breaks up what you're usually used to, adds variety to the gameplay. I wasn't too worried about that. I was excited, but I wanted to make sure that it was actually fun, you know, but it seems like these clashes, as they're called, is pretty cool, and it adds to the experience so far. So that's positive with that. Now, there is a shocking amount of voiced dialogue, full voice dialogue, and that's not too shocking to me. Fire Emblem Three Houses had a ton of voice dialogue. If you look at even Fire Emblem on the 3DS for a 3DS game, that had a lot of good voice dialogue, but Three Houses had a ton. So it's good to see that here, but I'm guessing because the scope and scale of this game is just bigger than Fire Emblem Three Houses, it even makes the scope of all the different voice characters even more, considering you have 4 separate characters that you can switch between at any point, and that it all saves the data and everything. There's the automated training that we had in Three Houses. So if you want to get straight into the action, you can just do that. You can automate it, you can assign it tasks to do, it'll do them, or you can do it yourself, obviously, and it'll be better if you do that, if you actually play it out yourself, but the automation is there if you want it, which was a nice little feature in Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's back here again, if you just want to play and get into that awesome gameplay. Now, here's another cool thing, and once again, this was something that people were a little bit worried about, but it looks like it's been handled. Each main character feels like a fully fleshed out main protagonist. It doesn't feel like one character is more important than the other character, or there's like one, okay, this is the canon route compared to the non-canon route. They all feel great. According to the previews, they all feel fleshed out. They all have their own stories, their own side quests, their own missions, their own ambitions, their own details. That is what I'm talking about. That is one of the best things. So very excited about that. Now, there's been a little bit of controversy. There's one thing that pretty much every preview talks about, and it's been a theme in other RPGs. There's only one save file per profile. Now, if you play by yourself and you don't have anybody else in your house, or if you just play through the game, you're fine. You can use that profile. However, there's some misconceptions about this before we get into exactly what you can do with that. If you have a Switch 2, and if you make a new profile, even with Switch 1, if there's a game that only has one save file, if you want a fresh save, so if you have a brother or sister or mom or dad or whatever, right? Son or daughter or whoever wants to come over and play, all you have to do is make another profile. If you make another profile, that will be a fresh save. You don't have to buy another Switch 2 or buy another game to be able to have a fresh save file. You can just make a different profile, and that will get you a fresh save. There are some people, some content creators too, that were saying, well, wait a minute, this is not good because you're going to have to buy the game 4 times or something like that. Well, just, no, you don't. Just make a new profile. You'll be okay there. So I saw that on Twitter, so I just wanted to make sure that I cleared that up. Now, when it comes to the save file thing, some people like to have multiple save files just in case if you make a mistake, you want to be able to go back. Now, according to what we see in the preview, you're able to go back. If you mess up or you do something, you're able to actually go back. So I don't know how in-depth it's going to be, but there is some type of thing to where you can go back and adjust stuff. So we'll see about that, because I know like the one save file thing definitely gets people like, uh-oh, like something might happen. So it does seem like maybe there isn't going to be a bunch of multiple different endings because there's only that one save file. Fire Emblem Three Houses had multiple save files, but once again, Fire Emblem Three Houses also had separate campaigns that were massive for each one that was really just meant to be played through once. But it also had a bunch of stuff that was like, okay, wait, hold up. Like, I don't know if I want to make this decision or not, too. I mean, that could be the same thing here with Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave, but it does seem like there are ways to kind of rewind a bit in the game if you want to do something different, from what I understand. So we're going to have to wait and kind of get more details on that. But I do think that it should be fine for right now. Now, I don't ever need more than one save file. I always save beforehand. And then if there's an issue, I can just go back. I can just not save it. So usually there's an auto save slot and there's a regular save slot. And then if I know that there's something coming up, I have that game saved. It kind of lets you know beforehand. So you just save it. And if something bad happens, then you go back, you fix it, you do what you want to do. But I know for other people, obviously like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for example, that was an issue for some, never an issue for me, but I get it for others. But let's see exactly how it plays out based off of what they've said. It does seem like there are some ways to kind of go back and do different things. Obviously, you have the thing in the battles to where you can rewind time in those. So if there's ever any issue, or you can just exit out of the battle and you can go prepare, do other stuff. So I think we should be okay based off of that. But once again, let's see once it comes out. If it's an issue, we'll definitely bring it up in our review, our discussions, our talks about it. But Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave is looking spectacular. Huge world map, plenty of things to do, great characters, great combat, great action, fun dialogue, just ambitious at every turn. The scope and scale is much bigger. They're using the power of the Switch to graphically look significantly better from all the previews from Fire Emblem Three Houses, and definitely a bump over Fire Emblem Engage. Looks like it's running solid enough, sharp on the screen, whether you're playing portable or you're playing docked. This is the Fire Emblem game that a lot of people wanted to see with the jump with the Switch 2. This is kind of, how can we take Fire Emblem Three Houses and make it even better? We joked about Fire Emblem Four Houses. They actually made Four Houses. That's the funny thing. So very excited to see the end result, which is me playing the game. Now, previews are one thing from major media. A lot of these people aren't really big on Fire Emblem, so you also have to keep that in mind. The hardcore fans, we're going to dissect this. We're going to be looking at every single little nook and cranny with the game. So there's probably going to be more stuff that I uncover and other core Fire Emblem fans uncover, some problems here or there, some other things. But based off of what we know right now, based off the previews right here, it looks like this game could be a 90 plus rating. This game could be above Fire Emblem Three Houses, which got an 89 on Metacritic. Now, if it did, this would be the best rated game since Donkey Kong Bonanza. Donkey Kong Bonanza, 91. Remember, reviews, some people hate to use them, but it's always good to have incredible reviews. It just helps the franchise, helps the game, and this game is going to be 80 MSRP for the physical version of the game. The digital version, 70, so if you want to get it for the 70, you can, but I suggest pre-ordering it. Pre-order it at Walmart or Amazon, get it for the 70. If you want a physical, get it for the 70. If you're already getting the special edition, then you're good there. But so far, if you're looking at content and value, you're going to get that with Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave based on these previews. This is shaping up to be just gigantic with this game. And I'm thinking that even if it doesn't get a 90 plus, because it's hard to get a 90 plus, guys. Like, it really is difficult. You're going to have some of those reviewers that just don't understand the game or can't control it or don't like JRPGs, but they were assigned to play the game, or say that it's not as good as Persona and give it like a 5 or a 4 or something stupid like that. You're going to get that. We saw that with Splatoon Raiders, so you're going to get that. So it's really hard in today's day to get that 90 plus as a JRPG, but I do think that it's possible to be up in the mid to high 80s. I think that's realistic for this game. And once again, that would be the best rating that Nintendo's gotten since Donkey Kong Bonanza. So what do you think about the Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave previews so far? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, peeps, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.